Welcome to America in 1939. We're finally crawling our way out of the big sadness, and things are looking up. Sure, there's a little fellow with a strange mustache in Europe making trouble, but I'm sure that won't escalate into an all-encompassing war, which ends with us harnessing the power of the sun. No, things are looking bright as the color in the new movie, The Wizard of Oz, which was released in August of this year, and was revolutionary in its use of Technicolor, fantasy setting, and musical score. I'm sure the creation of this monumental movie was as fun and carefree as the film itself. I'm sure it didn't cause anyone to die. No one died. Okay, canon. Disney just released Snow White, and it was actually pretty good. This means we can dive into fantasy and still make what we love. Good movie, sir? No, idiot. Money! Sorry, sir. So we bought the rights to this little story about a Wizard of Oz or something, and I want you to give me a script for it. Of course, sir. I'm thinking the magic is dumb and fantasy sucks. Let's make the Scarecrow into a normal guy, but he's also a dumb idiot who is so stupid that he can only get a job staring crows from fields. Also, let's make the Tin Man into an axe murderer. Okay, that's enough from you. Instead, they asked 3 writers for a script and just kinda mashed them together. Okay, sir, we have a script. Now we need a cast. I want Shirley Temple for Dorothy. But sir, she's under contract with Fox. So Leroy went to Fox and said, Mr. Fox, sir, may I please borrow Shirley? No. Fine, I'll use this chick instead. And so it was. Judy Garland was to be the young heroine. She was to be joined by Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West, Burt Lahr as the Cowardly Lion, Ray Bolger as the Tin Man, and Buddy Ebsen as the Scarecrow. Actually, I want to be the Scarecrow. Is that alright with you, buddy? Yeah, sure. I'm sure that won't have any consequences. Like death. It's not death. Okay, to be serious for a moment. 1930s were a very different time. Many of the common held opinions of the time are now seen as extremely problematic and backwards. So, before I get into this next bit, I just want to say I do not condone what happened or how people were treated. It was a time where actors had very little protection by law and were replaceable. To try and keep with the tone of the video, I'm going to stay clear of the worst and ickiest of the incidents that occurred, and that mostly the actresses had to endure. But if you want to know more, the information is out there if you want to find it. Okay, with that out of the way, costume time! Okay, La, you get a real lion skin costume. But only one, because we couldn't find enough lions of the same color. Ah, okay, cool. Hey, this is super thick and heavy. Aren't we shooting under, like, super hot lighting that gets the sets to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm also dancing around? Am I gonna be dangerously hot? Yes, so what can we do about it? Oh, well, that's easy. We're gonna put the costume into an industrial drying bin each night to dry out the sweat. That's not all, Jar. You get straw and clothes. Sweet! You also get foam latex on your face, which will permanently scar you. For life. Huh? Judy, whoa, how old are you? 16. Fat. Excuse me? Yeah, we're gonna put you in this blue gingham dress, so it'll blur your figure and make you look younger. We're also gonna strap your chest and put you on an extreme exercise routine of swimming, hiking, badminton, and tennis to keep your body shape ideal. But with all of that, how am I gonna have enough energy to actually play Dorothy? Oh, my sweet summer child. Amphetamines, of course. Margaret, for you, we're using green paint with a toxic amount of copper in it. The paint will have to be removed with acetone every day, otherwise that stuff is not coming off. And finally, Buddy, you're gonna wear paint with aluminum dust and a leather backroom body. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, side note, it feels as though the aluminum dust is coating my lungs, preventing my blood from oxygenating. Is that something I should worry about? Not at all. Oh, come on, Buddy, stop playing around. But he wasn't playing around. He was hospitalized, and the production company, thinking that he was faking, kept sending him messages and demands to return to set. It only stopped when an angry nurse intercepted one of the messages and chased them off. Now, of course, since it's the 30s, what can you do when one of your main actors is hospitalized? Just replace them with someone else. And that's what they did. Buddy Ebsen was removed from the film, and his replacement, Jack Haley, wasn't told what had happened to his predecessor, and the aluminum dust was quietly replaced with an aluminum paste. This, however, did seem to be a bit of a blessing in disguise, because although he suffered from a shortness of breath for the rest of his life, Buddy Ebsen would outlive the majority of the cast. I'm sure there's nothing to read into there. Okay, what are we up to? Time to start filming. At the start of filming, Richard Thorpe was directing. He made it a whole 2 weeks before Leroy said, "This sucks, this guy sucks, let's kick him out." And so he was kicked out and George Kakar was brought on. Leroy liked this, as he was able to oversee most of the production. George didn't last long, as he was already committed to another small film that you've probably never heard of. And so, Victor Fleming was brought on to direct. When Fleming was brought on, Leroy said, "Hey, I like the creative direction this is going, so just keep going with what George was doing." Sounds good. And so, he continued with the vision until near the end of shoot, when he replaced Cukor on that other film that no one's heard of, and King Vidor took over. What a baller name. And what a film it was. During shooting, Judy Garland was often so doped up that she fell into fits of giggles. This culminated in the introduction scene for The Cowardly Lion, where Garland could not get through it without breaking out in laughter. So Fleming takes her aside, has a few quiet words, and slaps her in the face. Just a reminder, she's 16 years old. Later, Fleming reportedly felt so bad that he asked the crew to punch him in the face. Garland responded by kissing him instead. Not all the stories have such a happy ending, however. Okay, Arnold Gillespie, you are the special effects director. You need to make sure the effects look good and are safe, right? Yes, sir. So how did that go? The snow falling on Dorothy? The Wicked Witch's burning broom? The tornado? Actually a pretty groundbreaking and ingenious effect. So good job. Okay, Gillespie, for this scene, we want the Wicked Witch to drop through a trapdoor as the flames and smoke start, so she doesn't get burned. Can you do that for me? Yes, sir. Perfect. Could you make the trapdoor open a little later? We just managed to catch it opening on camera before the smoke covered it up. Yes, sir. Amazing. Let's go for an... Oh, sorry, Fleming. Force of habit. Yeah, that was probably a little too... you know what, we'll just use the first take, I'm sure it'll be fine. Hamilton suffered a second-degree burn to the face and a third-degree burn to the hand, and spent 6 weeks at home and in hospital recovering. The studio, as you can imagine, was very understanding. When the accident happened, Hamilton had to have a friend come pick her up, as she couldn't drive and no one from the studio offered to take her to the hospital. The next day, the studio called her asking when she was coming in. She considered legal action, but ultimately deciding against it, thinking of the effect it would have on her career. Instead, she refused to do any more stunts with fire. But that's alright, that's what stunt doubles are for. Enter Betty Danko, Hamilton's stunt double and stunt performer extraordinaire. And don't worry, the studio has definitely learned its lesson about safety. It has not. Okay, Betty, those last 2 takes were great. Let's go for one more. Cut! That's right. Betty was injured when the smoking pipe made to look like a broomstick exploded, sending Betty to the hospital for 11 days and giving her permanent scars on her legs. But hey, they made it to the 3rd take instead of the 2nd this time, so that's an improvement. And after this, did the studio finally start valuing their employees and learn their lesson about safety? No, they replaced Betty with another stunt double to finish the shoot. The shoot was also a logistical nightmare. They had to find over 100 little people to play the Munchkins. Having such a large pool of actors, it was inevitable that you'd get a few bad eggs. Some of the Munchkins consistently showed up drunk, which must have been a very strange experience to say the least. But finally, the shoot is over. The film will go on to be nominated for 6 Oscars and win 2. Although not initially profitable, with re-releases, it would make the studio back its money and go on to cement itself as a classic. Judy Garland would battle with substance abuse and addiction for the rest of her life, and many cast members carry scars as reminders of their trip down the yellow brick road. So what can we learn from this production? What lessons can we carry with us so that mistakes made will not be repeated? I don't know, don't drug children. Big companies don't care about people. I'm not a philosopher, don't ask me.